Hello. This is Roberto, and this is the HVAC is my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how the PE exam CBT mechanical HVAC and refrigeration is, and what my experience was on taking the exam. All right, and also I'm going to be explaining about some techniques on how to tackle this exam, and overall how this is also going to be an encouragement and also a motivational presentation in order for applicants to take this exam. All right, so let's get into it. Number one, I want to be talk about like why a PE presentation. So what is a PE exam? Basically what we have is a PE is a professional engineering exam. Usually mechanical engineers, structural engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers, they all have to take this PE exam in order to be licensed. And this is equivalent to the contractors. So if there's a contractor in the HVAC field, they usually have to take they usually are under an apprenticeship. Then they have to take a journeyman license in HVAC. They have to take after a journeyman license a master license, so that way a master exam license, so that way they have the license to operate in whichever state. And if we're talking about internationally, if you live in India, if you live in Canada, you always have different certifications and exams. So it's a very good idea to give yourself a resolution every year, at least take one exam or take something. For example, in my case, I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm going to try to take every single year one exam, and that's what I've been trying to do. In the beginning, I used to take the FE exam, and then later I took the lead GA, lead green associate, now the PE, but possibly this year, well, AP. So every year there has to be a resolution, and it's not a bad idea. It's always a good idea, all right? So now that you understand a little bit better on what the PE is, now let's get into it. Why a PE presentation? Because this is very important, this exam. Why not to take it? That's why this video is an encouragement and motivational for applicants to take it, okay? So there's only benefits. The benefits are high of taking this PE and passing it. Even if you don't pass it, say that you schedule the test start in January, you schedule the test by June, say that you failed. And so many people are going to feel bad about it, but guess what? You can take it again. If you failed it in June, then you can take it, say, in August. But there is a difference. If you don't take the exam, you are still in zero. You don't have that foundation of studying for the test. However, if you fail the test in June, your probability of passing the test goes up. Like say now your probability is 80%. And then in August, you fail the test again. So your probability of passing the test the next time is 90%. So eventually, no matter what, you will pass it. But one of the main components of is not helping is that if you don't take the exam and you wait next year, then you don't increase your probability of chances of passing the test. And there is a big enemy. That big enemy is procrastination, because honestly life is not going to become better. If this year's my car broke down, I need help, and I don't have time. The next year I have a family, I cannot study test. The next year, now I have a house, I need to work for that harder. The next year I have so many projects. So there is always something. Just take it, and then you'll see the benefits. Okay, so why not to take it? What's the worst thing that could happen if you take it and you don't pass it? Okay, you're going to be losing $375, but as everyone says, money comes and goes. Time never comes back, and losing time is losing so much money, even more. So in other words, you're going to be losing $375, and also you're going to be very disappointed. But honestly, the disappointment would work perfectly depending on your mindset. So if I talk to personally, I would have been honestly happy not even happy. I wouldn't have been so disappointed if I hadn't passed the test, because I would have made another video of how I didn't pass the test, and on my second try I passed it. But I passed it at the beginning in the first try, but I was very sure that I was gonna pass it, either if it's on the first try, second try, third try. Even if I don't pass it on the third try, I need to wait another for the next year. On the next year, I would have tried it again and again and again. But every time I would have taken the test, my probability of passing the test would have increased, and I would have been learning so much. So in other words, I would have made a YouTube video about how 6 times I didn't pass the test, but at the seventh I passed, something like that. So don't feel bad about it. Don't take it personal. And those are the two things you're gonna be losing. Okay. So now, first things first. If someone is going to tell me, or if someone tells you that they want to take the PE exam, number one is they have to schedule the test. So there is an analogy. The analogy is like, if you are with your girlfriend and you are serious about being with her for a long time, then if you want to get married, you got to get engaged first, and then we're being serious. If you don't get engaged, then there is no marriage. So the engagement for your test is schedule the test. It doesn't matter. For example, that's going to kill the main enemy. And who's the main enemy? Procrastination. So when you schedule a test, you defeat procrastinations. Step number one. Number two, imagine that you're going to take, for example, today is like May 18th, say that, and then so give it 4 to 6 months. You can take it in November or early December, depending on how comfortable you are. For example, if you know already the industry, you've been doing this for 12 years or 20 years, you already know the questions, you're more comfortable, you can always give it 3 to 4 months. And don't forget, if you don't pass it, you can take it again. I know it's a bothersome, but you increase your chances. All right. Now, what are the requirements? So before, there were so many people that used to say, oh, I need to wait for 4 years. I need to wait 4 years. I will not take it. I can't take it because I will wait. But now, if you get out of college, you can always take the PE exam. And after 4 years, you can get licensed. So there are some states where you can get licensed with no 4 years of experience. In other words, you pass the test, but you don't get licensed. But at least you passed it already, and you just wait for your license after the 4 years of experience. So if you are a recent college graduate, then just take the test because you're fresh. And then after 4 years, get licensed in those states: Texas, North Carolina, Oregon, South Carolina, Oklahoma, and all of them. Okay, so those are the requirements. Now, which exam are you going to take? There are different examples of the PE exam. All right. Number one is architectural engineering, and then mechanical. In the mechanical section, you can take HVAC and refrigeration, machine design and materials, thermal and fluid systems. The one that I took is the HVAC and refrigeration because I wanted to take one exam that I'm going to apply in my field. So basically, since I'm involved in that field, that's the one I took. You can also take the thermal and fluid systems. That depending on your preference, what you feel most comfortable with. And if you are in architectural and engineering, of course, you can take the architectural engineering, which I guess there is another section where it's about, some structural and that kind of knowledge, but depends on what you want. So in this case, how the exam is, before there used to be an exam called paper-based test, but now there is another option where you can take the CBT. This is computer-based test, and this is how it looks in the computer. So if you look at this, if there is a question in this side where it says psychrometric chart, which requires psychrometric, you click on it, and then the psychrometric chart is going to show. So in the psychrometric chart, you're going to be able to draw lines, vertical, horizontal, with slope. You can see the processes. On the other hand, unfortunately, there is no way to copy paste a line. And I wish NCEES would do that, or the one that administers the exam. I wish they could do that, because if you're able to copy paste the lines in the psychrometric chart, you can use this protractor. This protractor is very handy for processes, okay? So the overall idea is this is how the test looks, and this is the link. I'm gonna put this link in the description below. So, in the CBT, you're gonna have two sections, see? On the left side, you're gonna have your reference handbook, where all your formulas are. So my very important advice is become very familiar with this reference handbook where the formulas are. Become very familiar, because at times there are questions that are so easy where you just have to put the formula and they give you everything. But in order to apply the formula, you need to look the formula in this reference book. So try to look it up, get very familiar, and that's going to save you a lot of time, and that's going to give you a lot of good questions that are going to be already tackled. Okay, so number two, you have to flag questions. In other words, say that you're starting with a difficult question, just pass it. Then the second question, pass it. Cherry pick the easy questions, and then at the end you can continue on the questions that you feel are complicated. So first of all, tackle the easy questions, or the questions that you feel comfortable. You don't have to start with the first question and finish the first question. You can do the first question if it looks very complicated, or pass it. The second one, it looks complicated, pass it. And the third one is gonna be easy peasy, go for it, enjoy. And then number one question and number two question, you passed it. In that case, you have to flag it, so that way you remember which questions you are checking. So for example, in this screenshot, there's a flagging here. You can always flag this question. Of course, this screenshot is from the FE exam, but the PE exam looks very similar, and the videos and the links are in the description below. All right. So in the exam, what are the specifications? So there's going to be two, principles and applications. In the principles, you have 28 to 43 questions, applications 42 to 64. In other words, the exam itself has 80 questions. Okay. So in the exam, usually you're gonna be there for 8 hours. That means that if you go schedule it at 8 a.m. in the morning, then you're gonna have two sections, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., 39 questions. Then you're gonna have your break from 12 p.m., 50 minutes or 55. Go have your lunch and have your lunch ready outside. Go to your car, relax. Go back at 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. for the rest of the 41 questions, okay? Rule of thumb, do not spend more than 6 minutes per question. That's why cherry pick the questions you feel more comfortable with, okay? And please, before you finish the AM section, which is the morning section from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., remember to finish all the questions, including the ones that you flagged. And if you don't know how to answer the question, just make an educated guess, because you're not going to lose any points by guessing the question. All right? So let's continue. So overall, the PE mechanical, this is the testing date is all year round, and this is also, what's the appointment time? 9 hours, which includes 2 hours or 2 minutes of just non-disclosure agreement, and then the tutorial is 8 minutes. The exam is 8 hours, so that's why it's in the morning 4 hours, in the afternoon 8 hours, and then the break is 50 minutes. Have your lunch ready, because after that, you don't want to go run into a hassle that is going to put more pressure on you. Number of questions, we have 80 questions. And then standards, you don't have standards, okay? So now, my suggestion for the PE exam is study the topics that are asked the most. So why would you study why would you study economical analysis or engineering economics if they are going to ask you like one or two questions? So focus on what they ask the most. So in here you're going to see psychrometrics. Study psychrometrics, become very familiar on that and become very comfortable on those questions. And then study heat transfer. See, 6 to 9 questions, 7 to 11 questions. And the ones that really are very important are these applications. See, equipment and components, 16 to 24 questions, and system and components, 16 to 24 questions. So study those topics so that way you feel very comfortable with what you in the exam. Okay, honestly, there is a part that is about sound, but I didn't see so many questions about sound. Honestly, I saw one question, and guess what? I just guessed it because I already cherry picked the questions that I was going to make sure that I'm doing correctly, and the other ones I just guessed it. All right. So now that you are interested in scheduling the PE exam, now we can talk. All right. All right, let's start with the exam itself. The previous ones were like in the previous slides, I was trying to convince you why you have to take the PE exam and what is it about. Now let's get into it. Okay, this is the second part. Okay, number one, I'm gonna tell you in the beginning that this book is very excellent, and let me tell you that I'm not affiliated with any company or I'm not getting any revenue on this, but this is actually a good book. I think it costs $200 or $240 in Amazon. I'm not very sure anymore. However, you don't need to study the whole chapter. You just need a small piece of this book, and it's a very thick book. I would say 1, 2, 3 inches thick or 4 inches thick book. So you don't need to be Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the only one that used to read encyclopedias because when he was a kid, he was so bored. He ran out of things of reading, so he ended up reading the encyclopedia. But don't be Elon Musk. You don't need this. This book is a reference, but don't study the whole book. Study just a little bit of the section. Honestly, if you want to be more practical, there is more material. So here's the material. There is like, you have the PE, mechanical HVAC, NCEES, 100 questions to pass the PE, HVAC refrigeration, 6-minute problems, practice, pass PE. There is so much. But let me let me tell to the audience, focus on the target. What's the target? Are they gonna tell you, are they gonna ask you about concepts? Are they gonna ask you about the history of HVAC? No, they're gonna ask you about questions. So see, if you wanna be practical, go take this test. See, in here you have already 80 questions. Go take the 80 questions. In here you have another 80, 80, 80, 80, or 2 exams. Go focus on the exams. But you might tell me, I don't know what the exams are, like the questions. All right. But those questions have already answers and have the procedure, how they solve those answers. So you have plenty of material. Not only that, but also you have YouTube videos, you have blogs, you have live online courses, and also you can always study in groups. Tell your colleague, hey, let's study together, because teaching is the best way of learning. And also there are some links in here where you can buy expensive courses. Of course, sometimes they're like $2,000, $3,000, $1,000. Buy one, get one for free. There's also engineering pro guides. Depends on your budget, or depends if the company pays for it. But there is always these two options, okay? Or if you don't need that, if you don't want that, let's go back. You can easily buy this. This is like, I think $50. This is, I think, $20, $25, 90, 90, 90, 40, 40. So you can always study on your own time. And also there is a lot of free material in YouTube. See, there is, if you put HVAC practice problems, there's tons of videos, including my channel. See, this is from my channel where I put a video, pressure enthalpy diagram part 1. Okay, so now also become very familiar with this reference handbook. This is the handbook where you have the formulas, you have the conversion factors. Please become very familiar. And how are you going to become familiar? By studying the exams. Okay, so become very familiar with that. But now you might tell me, Roberto, this is so easy what you are saying, but I'm not a robot. It's not easy to study for me. Or it's been a while I've been studying, I haven't taken tests in 20 years. That's very understandable. We're humans. I also get bored. So what happens is that you are going to work from 8 to 5. You are on a deadline and you're trying to submit a project. So you work a little bit late. It's 9 o'clock p.m. and you go home, and the last thing you want to do is to continue studying. You want to relax. You want to just unwind. Okay, so that's where the techniques come handy. So one of the techniques, no matter where I was, no matter what I was doing or how tired I was, I was always involved in TV shows. I was always interested in TV shows, soap operas from South America, TikTok, or whatever. So I put a rule: whenever I watch my soap opera or my TV show in my phone, it has to be on my desk next to my PE material. And that grabbed me always every single day to my desk to study. And then everyone is different. If you like video games, go to the video games, but put the PE exam next to the video game. At least that's gonna grab you there to the next to the book. Make it attractive. That's one of the books that I've read, like, to about the habits. Make your habits attractive and the good habits. So many people would like the TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, or find your own way, or even willpower. But sometimes willpower is boring and it hurts because, oh, I have to go study, I'm tired. Oh, you have a resistance. Break the resistance by bringing your technique, which is soap operas, TV show, Netflix, whatever. Bring it to the desk and make that rule very proficiently. Okay, so personally, TV shows work for me because I realized that I was relaxing, and then I posted, oh, I'm gonna sprint. I was sprinting on studying. So another technique is sprinting while studying. Do not study slow. Do not study like, oh, I have 3 hours. I will study little by little. No, sprint. Give it in 25 minutes brackets. Okay, I'll show you that later. So what are these techniques? And these techniques are also for any exam. Okay, so there is one technique called the Pomodoro Technique. What does it mean? So you're gonna study in brackets of 25 minutes, that what they call pomodoros. Okay, so in other words, say that you're watching your TV show and it's Netflix. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing, this TV show. And then you are on your desk already, but you keep on watching your TV show. After you finish the first episode, or you can pause it in the middle. And then after that, give it 25 minutes to sprint, to go study like crazy, like very quickly. Be very efficient, like it was your deadline, or or like taxes are due. Okay, so those 25 minutes study quickly, and that's the most efficient way to study. Do not put yourself into, oh, I have 3 hours to study, I will study 3 hours. No, don't put those limits. Put 25 minutes limits or 20 minutes or 10 minutes even. Go run, and that's the most effective way. So Pomodoro technique is 25 minutes, then 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, and then after 4 Pomodoros, which is 4 25 minutes, 30 minutes break. Okay, why is this very effective? Because there is one law that is called Parkinson's Law. The Parkinson's Law indicates that the work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. In other words, if I tell you, if I was your boss and then I tell you, hey, go study, take 2 weeks off, but study your PE exam. The whole 2 weeks, I will pay you the 8 hours. 8 hours you are paid. Go study 8 hours for 2 weeks. Guess what? Are you gonna study the 8 hours PE exam, the full 8 hours? I don't think so, because of the Parkinson's Law. Possibly you're gonna be studying for real the last 2 days, 3 days, not in the beginning, because you have so much time. The same thing like taxes. Everyone has to pay taxes on April the 15th, but technically you can start paying like starting in January, February, but so many people try to do it on April the 14th, the 13th, 2 days before taxes are due. So that's the Parkinson's Law. So in other words, in this case, give it an hour. An hour, say that I will complete at least 3 cooling tower questions or at least 3 psychrometric questions. But which questions? The questions directly from exams. Go to the point, get to the target. Study exams only. And if you need more material, more reference, go to that big book reference material. Okay? So now another technique is like, for example, if you don't understand one question, just take a picture of it and then pass to the next question. Don't spend so much time, I don't understand that, and get frustrated. Go to the next question and your study session. And then what I did is I took questions of the questions that I didn't understand very well. And guess what I did? I put it on my phone, and in my phone I put, see, in here it says PE exam. I have so many questions on the PE exam. And PE exam, when I was doing grocery shopping, pushing the grocery cart, because my wife used to be picking up groceries and I'm just pushing the cart, I used to be thinking about why this question is, I don't understand. Let me see the solution. Makes sense. Okay. Or when my wife is doing shopping, I'm being a good husband, but she's also understanding me that this is a technique. So, or whenever you're feeling bored, or whenever you're in your car, or any time that you have some lenient time, you can always go back to your phone, create an album, and then go back to that question, okay? Now, let's talk about what happens before the test. If you are 3 weeks before the test, go to the library. Do not get any distractions. Simulate the exam as if it was the exam itself. Be serious about it. Go first thing in the morning in the library at 8 o'clock. If the library doesn't open at 8 o'clock, go at 10 o'clock. I'm sure the library is going to be open at 10 o'clock, and then stay there until 6. Or if the library only opens from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m., then go to your home and then lock yourself up in your bedroom or in any place where you cannot be disturbed. So if you start in the library at 8 a.m., finish the 39 questions until 12 p.m. in the library. And then after that, go for lunch and have your lunch ready. You don't want to be stressed out going to, what's lunch? What am I going to go get for lunch? Oh my gosh. The least you want to do is get stressed, okay? So have your lunch ready, unwind, go outside, go to your car, or go watch videos or anything. Then come back at 1 and then go back until 5 p.m. Do that for the 3 weeks. Go on Saturdays or Fridays, whatever you feel most comfortable. So what I did is I went 3 Saturdays on straight, and I only took one exam. One exam I simulated very well. So Saturday number 1, I went 8 hours to the library, and in the library I completed all my questions and I corrected the answer sheet, and I had 30 questions wrong. In other words, I didn't pass. Because since I have the practice exams already, I graded myself and I saw that I had 30 questions wrong. And then what I did is I had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to tackle, to analyze, to understand why I did those 30 questions wrong. So by the time it was the time for my next test, mock-up practice session in the library, it was Saturday number 2. In that Saturday number 2, I did the same routine, first in the morning at 8 until 12, and then I grabbed my lunch, and then after 1 and then until 5, and then again. I didn't do the same exam, I did another exam. There is so many online in Amazon. And this time I did 20 questions wrong. At least the number of questions being wrong went down. I made some progress because I got more techniques on the questions that I didn't understand from the previous week. I grabbed those 20 questions wrong. I went Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to tackle and to analyze those questions that were wrong. So in that process, I understood, I got more techniques on why those questions were wrong. And then I went Saturday number 3. On Saturday number 3, what happens on Saturday number 3 is finally I had only 10 questions wrong. And then for the test, I was studying why I did wrong. So when I went to the test, I was more confident and I was able to handle 8 hours sitting. So do that, and this is going to be very good advice for you for your test. Okay. So on the day of the test, number 1, feel confident. Wear the t-shirt of your biggest hero. Put Iron Man, put Star Wars, Conor McGregor, put any or a politician, whichever. Put something that encouraged your mood. Harry Potter. Put anyone. Personally, I put Braveheart because that's my favorite movie, and then I said freedom. Okay, so that made me go to the test, and I was very cocky, but not in a bad way, cocky with myself. I was like, I'm ready for this test. I don't care, kind of thing. Okay, feel confident. Number 2, arrive early. So if your test is at 8 a.m., arrive 30 minutes early, but check in immediately. This is the biggest mistake I made. I was at the test location at 7:30, but I didn't check in until 8. So what happens is that if I would have checked in at 7:30, I would have gone straight to the test because I would have got a locker, showed my documents, and they would have signed me in, checked me in, and then ready for the test. What happens is that I waited until 8, and then at 8 o'clock I saw a lot of test takers already lining up there, of course, on the seats. I was test taker number 15, and I had to wait another half hour, which also increases your anxiety. I saw a lot of test takers become anxious, and then a lot of people go into the bathroom multiple times. You want to avoid anxiety. You want to feel very confident. So that's why if you go 7:30, go 7:30, try to check in, be the first one, and you'll be fine. Okay? And number 2, check with your calculator and your documents available. Okay? All right. So on the Daiso test, focus on the main target, which is passing the test. Answer 40 questions correctly. So technically, you have to answer 60 questions correctly out of the 80. But why do I say 40 questions? Because by saying 40 questions, the other 20 questions are going to come some sort of by default, because because even if you guess, C or B, even if you keep on guessing, you can have 5 questions out of the 80 for free just by guessing. That's the probability. Okay, so at least get 40 questions correctly, so that way that brings momentum on you, and then you can say, okay, have good chances of passing the test already. Okay, number 3, skip difficult questions and then go back and review. So cherry pick your questions, track your progress. In order to make your progress, say skip 10 you can skip 10 questions, but if you start the test question number 1, don't skip it like question number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until question 39. No, just skip it like in an hour to 10 questions. Okay, so if you don't do the 10 questions, then flag it, and then at the end review it. And if you don't know the answer, you just guess it. There's no penalty for guessing. Okay, and don't spend more than 6 minutes per questions. Okay, so those are the advice. Okay, so if this is on your question number 1, an air handler unit delivers 50,000 CFM and dry bulb, blah, blah. You know what? If you don't feel comfortable and if you even feel intimidated by reading this problem, guess what is the best answer? Skip it. Let's go to the next one. Oh, after skipping questions, you're gonna find easy questions and then enjoy. So in other words, skip, and then find the easy questions. Or so other people would tell me, depending on the test taker, that for some people this would be very difficult, and for some people they would feel more comfortable on this question. So if that's the case, do this question. But if that's not the case, go for the next question, and this just takes like 10 seconds. So 6 minutes per question. So if this takes you 10 seconds, give it at least 30 seconds or 1 minute. Because sometimes we make mistakes by looking at it that is very easy. So spend a little bit more time on the questions that are easy and make sure that they are correct. Okay? So this is gonna bring you a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum. You don't wanna start with a question, for example, like this, that is gonna take you a lot of time, and then you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm wasting my time, and you're gonna be feeling more anxious, or you're gonna feel frustrated a little bit. So just go for the easy ones. If you keep on doing the easy ones, you're gonna bring your confidence, you're gonna bring momentum. Okay. All right, so at the end, if you don't know the questions that you flagged, just make educated guesses, okay? There's no penalty for doing that. And do not leave early. There is always time, and there is always time to check a question. Make sure that your cherry-picked questions are correctly, okay? Okay, personally in my test, I have 1 question about economics, so I chose C or B, I guessed it. I didn't need to know the procedure, and then make sure that the easy questions are answered correctly. And there was a lot of questions about psychrometric pH diagrams, which I have a lot of YouTube videos, part 1, part 2, part 3 in my HVAC is in my channel, and some ERBs and COPs. And then HVAC controls, I had 3 questions. More practical questions are in the afternoon session. For some reason, I didn't have so many STEAM questions. STEAM questions are always in the PE practice exams. It helped me out to understand better the concept of STEAM, so that way it helps me out in my professional career. It wasn't in the test, but it's a win-win. If it's not in the test, it's okay, but it still helps me in my professional career. And as I said, I didn't study sound. I studied sound, but not so much. But there was only 1 question, so guess what? I guessed it. Okay, that was my exam content. Okay, so for the results, there. It takes 2 weeks since it's a CBT. No, it shouldn't take 2 weeks. I mean, since it's a CBT, usually it takes 5 days, but it could take 3 days. It could take 2 days. But it's gonna be reported in the NCEES website. All right. So that's the last part of the video, and hopefully you take a lot of you use this video, and this is going to help you and encourage you to take the PE exam. Not only the PE exam, but any exam. As I said in the beginning, it's a very good habit, because every single year try to make a resolution. Every year try to take one test. There is so many tests. If you are an HVAC contractor, every year you can take the NATE exam, you can take HVAC, you can take plumbing, you can take gas feeder, you can take then the journeyman, master license. There is so many tests to take every year. Make a resolution. If you're a professional engineer, then there is the lead well, there is like CEM, there is so many tests to do. Every year try to take one test, because I remember this saying, we're a slave of the habits. But if we're going to be a slave of the habits, let's be a slave of the good habits, not the bad habits. So a good habit is to have a good resolution for taking the tests. And don't forget that this exam at times is kind of overrated, because most of the time procrastination comes there, and then you don't take the test. Take the test. Even if you fail it, take the test. Failing is not taking the test. All right. Please like and subscribe and share this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.